From his iconic antics at press events to his memorable callouts in the ring, here's everything you need to know about Tyson Fury's most insane trash-talking moments. First up, we head over to Las Vegas, where Tyson Fury made his debut against Tom Schwartz. Fury, ever the showman, dressed as Apollo Creed and delivered line after line about how he would baptize Schwartz with his fists. The theatrics and confidence he displayed were not just entertaining. They were a calculated effort to assert dominance and get inside Schwartz's head before they even touched gloves. Plus, at the press event, Fury sang a line from an iconic tune, adapting the lyrics to predict Schwartz's downfall. Surely that played on his mind a bit.
All the bare-knuckle champions from the past, from hundreds of years ago. So none of us are on here because we wasn't even alive.
Well,
but it's a homage to pay homage to the greats of the past.
He promised a showstopper and delivered massively, both with his fists and his words. His post-fight song to the crowd was the cherry on top, celebrating his victory with as much charisma as he had displayed in his taunts. Next, let's take a look at his rematch with Deontay Wilder. During the build-up to his rematch, Fury took his psychological gamesmanship to new heights. He taunted Wilder about the controversial draw in their first fight and vowed to knock him out in the second. Fury's relentless psychological pressure was evident as he dominated the press conferences with his charisma, reducing the usually vocal Wilder to a more subdued presence. But it's not all just talk. Fury's words often echo his actions as well. Post-fight, after defeating Wilder in their rematch, Fury's trash talk turned into praise, showcasing his sportsmanship and the respect he holds for the sport and its fighters. This switch from his bad guy act to a good sport further cements his legacy as a complex figure in modern boxing. Next up is the confrontation with Steve Cunningham. Before their fight, Fury, with a towering height advantage, looked down upon Cunningham both literally and figuratively. In a press conference that became more of a one-man comedy show, Fury declared that he would send Cunningham packing back to cruiserweight, where he belonged. True to his word, Fury delivered a knockout punch that underscored his pre-fight declarations, proving that his bark was as bad as his bite. Next is one all boxing fans will remember. As the rematch with Vladimir Klitschko approached, Fury turned up the heat. In the run-up to the bout, Fury criticized Klitschko's style as mundane and vowed to serenade him to sleep with his fists, painting the fight as a clash between one exciting fighter and one really boring one. Fury's antics reached a peak when he appeared at a press conference in a Batman costume, wrestling a man dressed as the Joker. Fury can be a really funny character, showcasing his role as the hero boxing needed to shake up the heavyweight division. Sometimes he gets labeled as egotistical and cocky. What do you think? Next, we have the trilogy with Deontay Wilder, where Tyson provided a treasure trove of trash-talking moments. For their third fight, Fury described it as the final funeral for Wilder's career. He accused Wilder of making excuses for his loss in their second fight, including outrageous claims of costume weight and spiked water. Fury's pre-fight talk was merciless, aiming to dismantle Wilder's confidence while asserting himself not just as a physical threat, but as a psychological juggernaut. The fight went on to show Tyson's heart, and that Deontay is truly no match for him 3 times in a row. We can't forget the trash talk and build-up to a potential Joshua fight. In the lead-up to a potential blockbuster fight with Anthony Joshua, Fury was relentless. He took every opportunity to belittle Joshua's boxing abilities, suggesting Joshua was a bodybuilder rather than a true boxer with any skills. Fury's jibes were aimed at undermining Joshua's confidence while setting himself up as the true king of British boxing. This verbal sparring kept fans on their toes, eagerly anticipating a fight that would settle their debates once and for all. This would be one of the biggest fights in boxing history. Next, let's talk about the Fury vs. Chisora trilogy talks. As the prospect of a third fight with Derek Chisora loomed, Tyson Fury was quick to remind everyone of his dominance in their previous meetings. In classic Fury fashion, he proclaimed that a third fight would be nothing more than a public execution, promising to retire Chisora for good this time. His bold proclamations made headlines, drawing attention to the potential trilogy and underscoring his role as the dominant figure in their rivalry. It seems like Tyson is running out of people to fight, so he might end up going back for the trilogy. Then there was the confrontation with David Haye. During the build-up to a fight that unfortunately never materialized due to Haye's injuries, Fury was in fine form. He called David Haye Mr. Toebreaker, mocking the injury that postponed their first scheduled fight. Fury's taunts were ruthless, accusing Haye of avoiding the fight and questioning his heart. It's safe to say that Fury didn't hold back and unloaded on Haye. How about the pre-fight antics against Christian Hammer? Before his fight against Christian Hammer, Fury's pre-fight antics were on full display. He disparaged Hammer's chances, joking that he had brought a hammer to a gunfight. At the weigh-in, he continued his psychological assault, telling Hammer that he'd need more than a hammer to knock him down, much less knock him out. Then, after a continuous beating, Tyson walked away with the win to remain undefeated. Next, let's take a look at the Pianeta putdown. In a less publicized bout against Francesco Pianeta, Fury used the opportunity to showcase his confidence and verbal agility once more. Fury said that he would make him sing soprano, a clear message of his intent to dominate the fight, which he did. How about the mockery of Sefer Seferi? In what was seen as a comeback fight, Fury faced Sefer Seferi, an opponent many felt was outmatched. Leading up to the fight, Fury made light of the situation by questioning whether he should fight the Albanian or his cousin because he needed a real challenge. This banter was not just humorous, but also highlighted Fury's confidence and his return to the sport after a hiatus. He toyed with him during the fight, further emphasizing the disparity in skill and seriousness between them, before the Real Deal's team threw in the towel and gave up the fight. Next is the clash with Otto Wallen, a Viking in Vegas. When Tyson Fury squared off against Otto Wallen, he dubbed the bout the Invasion of the Vikings, but made sure to paint himself as the conquering hero destined to repel the invaders. At the pre-fight conference, Fury joked about Otto's Viking heritage, claiming he'd send him back to Sweden on a longship. How about the handling of Hughie Fury? During the build-up to a potential family feud against his cousin Hughie Fury, Tyson used his platform to both jest and jab, stating that while family dinners might be awkward, he wouldn't hesitate to school his younger cousin in the ring. Although this fight never became anything, it is definitely something us boxing fans remember as just another opponent Tyson is willing to fight. Let's go back to his second fight with Wilder for a second. Before his second rematch with Deontay Wilder, Fury turned a press conference into a one-man show. Engaging directly with the audience, he asked the crowd whether they believed Wilder's excuses for his loss in their previous fight, turning public opinion into another facet of his psychological warfare. This interaction was not just about undermining Wilder, but also about rallying public support, really trying to play on Wilder's emotions coming into their second bout. Tyson Fury's trash-talking skills have made him one of the most watched and listened to figures in boxing. He understands the power of words and uses them as effectively as his boxing techniques. Whether it's undermining his opponents or selling a fight, Fury is as strategic as it gets, and is incredibly spontaneous when he comes up with these off-the-cuff comments. So, from pre-fight predictions to post-fight analyses, Fury's mastery of trash talk not only entertains but impacts the mental state of his opponents and the anticipation of the fans. His ability to play the mental game has made his fights must-see events, proving that in boxing, battles are often won with words as much as with strength.